record. Shalom, welcome to our Parsha class, Tafshin Pei Daled Balak. Parsha's Balak, Tafshin Pei Daled. So, wow, there's so much to talk about here. I'll start off with just a quick. One of the Chevre, I don't know if you remember, Michael. We began the shir. It used to be I would give lots of different little bits and pieces, yeah, and people enjoyed that. And then the way my mind works is I ended up getting into more complicated, like longer Torahs that encapsulated the entire Parsha, B'ezrat Hashem, or an Inyan within at least. So someone mentioned to me, maybe we could go back to the old style. So we're going to try and go back a little bit to the old style. But that's how it goes, I suppose, in Torah. You know, there's a growth and you appreciate things in different ways. But today we'll go back to the old style a little bit. So just to mention quickly, the Inyan of Bilam, the name Bilam is Lashon Bala Mem. Bala means to swallow. Yeah, mem is spelled, the letter mem, all letters have got a spelling, yeah? So Aleph is spelled Amud, sorry, let me just turn my phone on. Aleph, Lamed, Pei, base is spelled base, Yud, Saf. Yeah, every letter has a spelling. So the spelling of mem is mem, which is really mayim, because the yud is one of the soft letters that can fall out. So bala mem. What's the inyan of the fact that Bilam was bala mem? He swallowed the water, because Moshe, Lashon Moshe is from Mashiach, from that he was mamshich from the mayim that Basia pulled him out of the water. Bilam swallowed the water, and Moshe was pulled out of the water. And we know that Bilam was a Rasha was a Navi Kamoy Moshe. There's a kesher between Moshe and Bilam. And really, you could maybe say that the kesher is a bit like the difference between pomegranates and grapes. What a weird thing, yeah? Think about grapes and pomegranates. They're actually opposite fruits. Think about it. A pomegranate is a hard, opaque klipa, yeah, and it contained within it is endless fragmented, endless individual seeds, endless individual fruits in a sense, yeah. A grape is an indivisible. Open a grape is indivisible, yeah, but it's a bunch. It comes as a bunch. It's the exact opposite imagery. Yeah, it's the exact opposite message. So we say that the Rishoyim are Malay Mitzvahs Karimon. We've mentioned this before, which is a kaf schus. It's a dam kaf schus. I don't want to take away from the pshat. That means that even the lowliest yidden are full of mitzvahs. But there's a deeper lesson from that, is that the mitzvahs inside the Russia, we're talking about here in a sense an observant Jew, not that we should call a Jew a Russia, but we're talking about an observant Jew. The mitzvahs are his whole internal world is fragmented. There's mitzvahs tefillin, there's mitzvahs talis, there's mitzvahs shachris, there's mitzvahs tzedakah, there's mitzvahs trumas maisus, there's all the different mitzvahs, but they're all fragmented inside him. He doesn't have a big picture. They don't all come together. He doesn't see himself as an Eved Hashem. Because when you're an Eved Hashem, there's only one mitzvah. That's why Yid is called a bar mitzvah. Why is he not called a bar mitzvah? A son of mitzvahs. Why just a bar mitzvah singular, son of one mitzvah? Because that's the inyan of tzaddik be'emunaso yichyeh. That the tzaddik stands in his emunah, meaning that to the tzaddik there aren't 613 mitzvahs. There's just the mitzvah of emunah. There's just Hashem. So in this situation, Hashem is manifest as me doing this mitzvah. And in this situation, Hashem is manifest as me doing a different mitzvah. But it's all Hashem. So the Russia is Mali mitzvahs kurimon, meaning all the mitzvahs are singular by him. Whereas by the tzaddik, it's all one. And that's like the grape and that's like the pomegranate. So what's that to do with Bilam and Moshe? That Bilam drank the water and Moshe was drawn from the water. Because that's the inyan of the grape, being drawn from the water is the inyan of many. He's he's not a, how many can be drawn from the water? Endless things can be drawn from the water. But swallowing the water is like the rimon. You've become a self-contained, you've taken the whole thing. That was the whole Inyan of Bilam. He was a self-contained thing. We'll get there's a big toy I want to get into, but we'll talk another couple of small. This is just a very interesting thing that the Or Chaim says. He says, "Matzinim b'divrei Mekubalim, ki nafsho Bilam ba b'chomoyo shel Rabbi Pinchas ben Yoeh." That the nefesh of Bilam's soul was misgalgel, became reincarnated into the donkey of Pinchas ben Yoeh. The famous story of Pinchas ben Yoeh, when the donkey wouldn't eat the food that was that hadn't had Trumas and Mises taken from it. That was the neshama of Bilam and Russia. So I'm not the Or Chaim. There's a big arichas, yeah, but he says that a big tikkun for a evil soul is to get killed by an Ish Yisrael. Isn't that a crazy thing to think about when you think about what's going on in Gaza? Yeah, I'm just telling you what the Or Chaim says. He says that a tikkun for a soul that's a Russia is to die at the hands of Yisrael. So then he goes on and says, and well, Bilam and Russia was killed by Yisrael. Yeah? So now, who was it killed? Was it Pinchas who killed Bilam? Was it Pinchas who killed Bilam? I can't remember. One of the big tzaddikim killed Bilam. So he asked the question, so why wasn't that a tikkun enough? Because he was such a Russia that he said his soul kind of stood in no man's land for many years, and then was eventually reincarnated into the chamor of he says that Sono, the female donkey of Pinchas ben Yoeh. I just thought that was a very interesting idea. And imagine, like, a liba de emes, when you hear what we just said, that it's a tikkun for a soul. Again, I'm not saying this. I know it's not very politically correct, yeah, but I'm just quoting the Or Chaim. But the Or Chaim says it's a tikkun for the soul of a bad goy, of someone from the nations who was evil to get killed at the hands of a Jew. Isn't that a crazy thing? So just imagine what a different slant that puts on the whole thing going on in Gaza right now. If you understand it like that, what an interesting idea. Anyway, I'm going to mention one other small idea, and then we'll give over the big idea. When Bilam is talking about Am Yisrael, this is a whole new thing, separate thing. When Bilam is talking about Am Yisrael, he speaks about the seed of Yisrael as Es Rova Yisrael, not Zer Yisrael, Rova Yisrael. So now we're not going to get too deep into this because we could spend hours and hours talking about this. But we've got the two kinds of relationships called panim al panim, face to face, and ach l'ach in Lashon Kabbalah, achor l'achor, back to back. As we said, a face-to-face relationship is the ideal human relationship where it's about the other. You are an end unto yourself, like your relationship with your wife, with your children, with your siblings, with your parents, and the relationship you're trying to get in with everybody else as well. Whereas I'm not trying to get anything from you. It's about what I can do for you, not what I can get from you. And not for any reason. I'm not trying to do something you for so that I'll feel good even. It's just about you. That's a face-to-face relationship, okay? A back-to-back relationship is the opposite. A back-to-back relationship, like we always say, is like a cab driver. It's not about you. It's not about me. Like, I don't care about you, Mr. Cab Driver. I just need to get taken to wherever. And you don't care about me. You just want my money. Yeah? So we can change that by giving a tip or being nice. However, but that's the actual relationship. It's called a transactional relationship. A business relationship, by definition, is back-to-back. And a marriage, by definition, should be face-to-face. We're not trying to get anything from our wife. That's not what it's about. And that's symbolized by how intimacy is undertaken by people. It's a face-to-face experience. Animals without exception, have a face-to-back experience. I'm sorry to be speaking about these in Yanim, but it's a very important idea. That act is called roiveya. Reish base ayin. Roiveya. That's the inyan of animals. Animals mating in Hebrew is called roiveya. It's actually a face-to-back relationship. We spoke about a face-to-face relationship. That's when I'm in it for you and you're in it for me. A back-to-back relationship is when I'm in it for me and you're in it for you. A face-to-back relationship is actually one of the most destructive relationships because it's about my pleasure, but it's not about you. I'm not going to get into it too much right now. And like I said, we could speak about this for a long time. But this idea of a face-to-back relationship is that it's about my pleasure and I'm using you for my pleasure. So it's all about me and it's not about you, but I'm taking pleasure from you. Whereas in the cab driver, I'm not actually getting pleasure from you. You're doing something for me. I'm not taking pleasure from you. Whereas a face-to-back relationship is I'm taking pleasure from you, but it's not about you, Bichlal. Shalom Yitzi. We've been missing you so much. Nice hat.
Looking forward to being back. Okay, I'm jumping in.
Okay, so we're okay, great. So this is how Bilam referred to the offspring of Yisrael. Roiva Yisrael. You hear how corrupt that is? He spoke about the Yiddish Kinder, about Bnei Yisrael in that level of mating from an animal. That's how we came to being. His whole concept of a relationship was front to back, meaning it's all about my pleasure that I'm taking from you, and I don't care about you. I'm looking at your back. I don't even recognize you. You don't recognize someone from their back. You can't recognize someone from their back. It's only from their front. That's how you recognize someone from their face. So taking pleasure from somebody and having no recognition of that person is the worst. And that's where Bilam was coming from. That's why he referred to the Kindach of Yisrael as Roiva Yisrael. Very strange Lashon. Okay, so we'll move into the bigger Torah. Okay, so there's everyone knows the Mishnah in Pirkei Avos in the fifth parak. Kol mish sheyesh biyado shloish devarim halalu. Anyone who has in his hands one of these three things, Metalmido she Avram Avinu. He's of the students of Avram Avinu. Ushloish devarim acherim. Three other things, as we know now from our learning, acherim is always, we just mentioned that before in the back-to-back, acherim is always negative. Yes, when he has these three devarim acherim, mitam shel bilam arasha. The Mishnah is making a very clear connection between Avram Avinu and Bilam arasha. Now, before I go on with the Mishnah, I want to just bring a couple of psukim from the Parsha, which are moiridik. Everyone knows about the kesher between Avram and Bilam. Strong kesher. It's Peleday. Listen to this. When Bilam, I'll read you the psukim. V'yashkam Avraham b'boiker. Avram got up early in the morning. He saddled his donkey, and he took two young boys with him. Yeah. By Bilam, it says, "Vayakam Bilam b'boiker." Bilam got up early in the morning. And he saddled his donkey. And then the next pasuk it says, Esa Amaze, Aslicha. Well, it's not right. The Satan went with him. And he had two boys with him, two lads with him. What a connection. They got up early in the morning, they saddled the donkey, and they took two boys with them. Both of them. What's the kesher between Avram and Bilam? So let's go back to it's Moedik. It's really special. It's very beautiful, very, very insightful as well. Very helpful. So the Mishnah says, Kol mi sheyesh biyado shlosh dvarim halalu. Mitalmidim shel Avram Avinu. He's of the students of Avram Avinu. Ushlosh dvarim macherim. These other three things, mitalmidim shel Bilam Arasha. He's from the Talmidim of Bilam Arasha. Now it's just very interesting. What does it mean he's got these things in his hand? And why does it say he's from the Talmidim of Avram? Why not say the Bnei Avraham? It's an interesting idea. Why the students of Avram and Bilam? Why not the children of Avram and Bilam? And what does it talk about? He's got these things in his hand. So these three things that we're going to talk about, the point is these three things are learnable. From what we're going to say, it's a pele, because we're talking, the three things are ayin toiva, the ruach nemucha, unefesh shvala. We'll explain what they are, B'ezrat Hashem. An ayin toiva, a good eye, a ruach nemucha, a lowly spirit, the nefesh shvala, and another kind of lowly, like a lowly soul. Matalmido shel Avram Avinu. He's from the Talmidim of Avram Avinu. Ayin ra, the ruach gavoya, the nefesh ochava, a evil eye, a high spirit, a haughty spirit, the nefesh ochava, and a wide soul. Again, we'll explain what those are. B'ezrat Hashem. Shel Bilam Arasha. Talmidim shel Bilam Arasha. He's of the Talmidim of Bilam Arasha. Meaning these traits, whatever they are, we'll see that, B'ezrat Hashem, are learnable traits. That's what it means. They're in their hand and they're students of Avraham and Bilam. Meaning these things aren't inherited. Anybody remembers the three traits that inherited, that Yisrael inherit? Goim lechasadim, rachmanim, ubaishanim. We do chesed, we have mercy, rachmanas, and we have we're shame, like it's not the right word. Like we're embarrassed by people, but it's in a good way. It means baishanim, it means maybe sneers, maybe means we're modest. So what are these three things? Yeah. So there's a lot of, actually there's a big machlokas on all these three things. I don't know if you've got a machlokas, but everyone's got different ideas. So I just thought I'd bring down a few ideas. So the Rav Bartanura says, Ayin Toiva, Mistapek b'mashi yeshloi, Shalom Gavriel. And Ayin Toiva means that he is satisfied with what he has. He doesn't he's not jealous, or he doesn't desire. Covet is the word, yeah, whatever that means. It's one of those words like alacrity that you never heard of in English before you came from. To covet and alacrity, both those. I prefer Chaimed and Zvizus. Anyway, so he doesn't. This is what the Rav Bartanura says. He's mistapek b'mashi yeshloi. He's satisfied with what he has, and he doesn't covet or long for the money that other people have. Okay, and he brings from Avram, because Avram said, "I'm not going to take a shoelace from who was it? From Sisera? No, not Sisera. Who was the from the Melech Sodom? From Sodom. Okay, I'll stay with that. So the Rambam agrees with the Bartanura. The Bartanura agrees with the Rambam. He says it's the end of his stapkus, and he's satisfied. But the Yachin says something really different and really interesting. She says like this: Shahaya Chacham Gadol Ka'achi Toifa. Oh wait, no, I didn't want to say that. This next bit, sorry. Besichloi. What does an ayin toiva mean? The Yachin, the Tfes Yisrael says, Besichloi. Shelo yispake besichloi lebli lamin b'devarim she'ein aseichu masigan. that he is not mafkir himself. It's a strange lotion. His paker besichloi lebli lamin b'dvarim she'eina seichel masigan. And that's why Avram Avinu said v'amin b'Hashem. It means that an ayin tova is the ability to use your seichel to the nth degree, where you have used your seichel to establish that this is something that your seichel can't understand. That's very different to just going, I believe. That's a very different thing. What that means is that, just for example, the inyan of Hashem. You can't understand Hashem, but to believe that means that you used your mind in such a way that you've understood that you can't understand Hashem. That's a deep use of the seichel. That is a very seichel dika thing to do. Is at a certain point, you turn around and you say, I've researched this subject for long enough to know that this isn't actually something my seichel can grasp. And that's what a lot of what the scientists of our generation say about quantum physics. Like, who was the guy who like discovered it? What was his name? One of the famous guys, I forgot his name. Whatever. He said that if you think you understand quantum physics, you don't understand it. I've said that a few times, yeah? But that's the idea of using your mind, not just to say, well, I don't understand it, so I'll believe in it, or I don't know it, so I'll believe in it. It's using your mind to get to the place where you say, I know that my mind isn't the right tool to understand this. Just like my hands can't understand an inyan. I'll give you a good example that I think about a lot, yeah? Is that I'll just give you an example. You could give me 100 examples yourself, and I could give you 100 examples myself. Is by Lag BaOmer a few years ago, I had a chavrusa with or was it not Lag BaOmer? So Pesach Sheni, I think it was Pesach Sheni. Yeah, it's Pesach Sheni. A few years ago, I had a chavrusa in a certain Gemara. We were learning Eruvin. We'd be learning it for like a couple of years. And on Pesach Sheni, we learned the bit of Pesach Sheni. The bit in the Gemara, there's like a few, like the whole thing on Pesach Sheni, it was like a few lines in the Gemara. I think it was in Eruvin. And we learned that bit on Pesach Sheni in a chavrusa that I've been involved in for like 2 years. Think about that for a minute. That was clearly hashgacha. Clear hashgacha prat is that I was learning about Pesach Sheni on Pesach Sheni, yeah? How did Hashem do that? I had free will for 2 years. I could have chosen any Masechta to learn. I turned up at the right time. I didn't turn up at the right time. We schmoozed for that. We schmoozed for that session. We didn't schmooze for that session. We learned 2 daf on that in that session. And then I went to America and I missed the week of learning. And it just comes up. But I know that he didn't like fudge around with the sefer. Or maybe he did. I don't know. Maybe he can do that. Maybe his concept of time and is just something that I can't comprehend. You with me? You understand that from that simple, and you could all give me 100 examples of that yourself. Where when you really think about it, you're just like, my brain isn't the right tool for the job. That's what Emunah's for. That is what Emunah is for. That is such an important idea. Such an important idea. That you have decided, not that you give up your seichel, that you used your seichel to determine that your seichel isn't the right tool for the job. Then we need Emunah. That's, by the way, the reason why the first Ani Maamin is not Ani Maamin be'emunah shlema sheyesh bo Elokim. It's Ani Maamin be'emunah shlema Wait, what do you mean? You just took for granted there's a boire. It should be, I believe in Emunah Shlema that there's a God. Number 2, I believe in Emunah Shlema that he is the boire and the manhig. He is the creator and the director. Why don't I say I believe that there's a creator? Because you don't need to believe that. You know that if there's a creation, there's a creator. The question is if he's involved in the world. That's boire money. Now that you need a munah for. But to say that there's a creator, whether you call it quantum fluctuations or some kind of collision with this and that caused the Big Bang, and there's a creation, so there's a creator. The question is he involved in the creation? That's the question. That's the difference, but that's really the question. That's why a Malik is happy to believe in God, just not in the fact that he's involved in the world, because believing in God, if you call that's called the Big Bang, or we're also able to believe in the Big Bang. We just say Hashem did it. But the idea of quantum fluctuations just happening to cause this whole thing to be, then you're calling the quantum fluctuations the creator. That's it. He's your God. He doesn't do much. He's not very involved, and he's not, doesn't care. So now his God isn't like my God, but he's your God. That's your God. So everybody has a God. There's no one without a God. Just some people call it quantum fluctuations or the potential field or whatever. So anyway, so let's keep going. So we've got now these two definitions of Ayin Tova. You have to go? Okay, bye, Mike. Nice to see you anyway. Nice hat. So I want to finish off. So we've got Ruach Nemucha, which is a Ruach Nemucha. The Bartanura says another Yisera. Okay, like Avram said, Anoichi Afa Va'efa, he was a big Anav. By the Rambam, he says a Ruach Nemucha is another Yisera also. And the Yochin says that Ruach Nemucha is Gaiva, meaning he didn't have Gaiva. Yeah, so they all agree on that. Then a Nefesh Fala says the Bartanura Zahirus, the Precious Minativas. It means he is basically not about either. He's shola on himself. He has self-control. Okay. And the Rambam says, the same thing. Zrizus. He doesn't say about the Tivas, but he says Zrizus. And the Yochin also says the Tivas Artius. He doesn't have he doesn't mistapek b'mash chananu Hashem that Hashem gave to him. He's happy with what he's got, but meaning, it sounds a bit like the Yochin sounds a little bit like the everyone else's definition of Ayin Tova, that he's satisfied with what he has, but he says B'Tova's Artius, that he doesn't have desires for this world. So let's try and work this out. Gavin, you missed the whole questions. We're trying to work out what's the difference between Bilam and Avram. They're like opposites. And the Mishnah says that if you have these three things, Ayin Tova, Ruach Nemucha, and Nefesh Fala, you are of the Talmid of Avram Avinu. And if you have these three things,
Yeah. No, I know the Mishnah.
And then the other three things is an Ayin Ra, Ruach Gvoya, the Nefesh Rachava. You are like you are of the Talmidim of Bilam Rasha. Then we spoke about the fact that Avraham saddled he got up early in the morning, he saddled his donkey, and he took two lads. And Bilam got up early in the morning, he saddled his donkey, and he took two lads. There's also a lot more as well, but they get more like wacky and stuff, but those are the big ones. So what's this kesher between? What's the kesher? What's the difference?
Why does Talmidim and not Zera?
Yeah, I asked that question, and the reason because these three. Are you heard me say this?
No.
I said this moment. Oh wow, yo, Halpin. We have the original two. Yo, it's so good to see you on the Zoom. Oh, you didn't hear that. Maybe you saw my kiss. Shalom yo. Anyway,
Shalom Aleichem.
You just missed my whole thing. You'll catch it on the replay, what I just said. You didn't hear what I just said. It was nice. Okay. But it's great to see you, the kids. That, yeah, we see that Avram and Bilam are basically opposites. Opposites are always the same. They're just opposite. Like, for example, black and white have got a lot more in common than black and red. Even though red looks darker and you might think it's closer to black, but in fact, black and red are two very different things. Whereas black and white are the same thing, they're just on opposite sides of the spectrum. Oh, sorry, Gabriel, I got the reason why it's Talmidav and not Zerah, I think you can say, is because these traits are learned and acquired traits. They're not inherited traits. Inherited traits is goyim lechasadim, rachmanim, ubaishanim. These traits, as you might not feel, that's why it says biyadoi, that they're in their hand. Why? And they're talmida, because you can learn how to have an ayin tova and nefesh.
Ruach nemuchas l'chora is baishanim, no?
No, not according. No, that's not. It means it means a nevus. Ruach nemucha means a nevus, and nefesh.
As opposed to embarrassment. As opposed to embarrassment.
It's a different thing. You can learn these traits. A nevus is pasha. If you just think straight, you'll be an anav. If you've spent a few minutes putting into perspective what creation is and who you are and what God is, you're an anav. Just by default, you can't. How can you have any gaiva? The minute you realize that you're a creation, gaiva's gone. There's no gaiva. That's in fact the definition of humility, is knowing that you're a creation. And the definition of gaiva is thinking that you're the creator. Yeah. Anyway, so what's the kesher? Listen. So what describes the two differences? Listen to these two psukim that mamash break the whole thing down. It's amazing. So by Avram and Bereshis, yeah, it says the Avrucha mevarechecha v'mechlelecha aro v'baruchu b'cha kol mishpachos ha'adama. I will bless the ones who bless you, and your curses, the ones who curse you, I will curse, and all of the mishpachas of the world will be blessed through you. Yeah. I don't need to say that again. What was said about Bilam? Says Balak to Bilam, I know, I know that the ones that you bless are blessed, and the ones that you curse are cursed. By Avraham, the pasuk says, I will bless, Hashem says, I will bless the ones who love you. And the ones who curse you, I will curse, and everyone will be blessed through you. By Bilam, Balak turns around to him and says, I know that the ones who you bless are blessed, and the ones who you curse are cursed. That's the difference between Bilam and Avraham. Is Avraham understood that he was just a cog in the wheel, that he was just here to serve the Ribono Shel Olam's purposes, so the bracha came through him. Whereas Bilam thought he was a mamash, the man da amma. I'm the one who gives the brachas, and I'm the one who gives the klalas. And the ultimate irony is that at the end, Bilam isn't the one who gives the brachas, and he isn't the one who gives the klalas. He just thought he was, and Balak thought he was, because you saw, Bilam said, I can't do anything without the Ribono Shel Olam. He wanted to, but he wasn't able to. But Balak looked at Bilam as, you're the one who blesses and you're the one who curses. Whereas Avraham is just, the blessings and the curses come through you. I will bless the ones that bless you, and I will curse the ones that curse you, says the Ribono Shel Olam. So Avraham saw himself in context of reality. I'm just here to help. He said, Hineni, I'm here. I'm available. Let me help, please. Whereas Bilam and Balak, it was a completely different Matthias. They weren't here to help. They were here to be helped. It's all about me. Anyway, Okay, that's the parsha this week. B'ezrat Hashem, from my perspective. Any questions?
Say that Abraham is Av Hamon Goyim. He's the father of many nations. Bilam is Bala Am. He ingests nations.
We mentioned at the beginning, Shkoyach, that's great. I mentioned Bala Mem, that he drank the water, whereas Moshe was Mimshach from the water. He was taken from the water. It's exactly the idea. The Inyan of taking in, I'm God, as opposed to I come from God. It's a completely different Inyan, but what you said is also great. Shkoyach, beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, we should be there to be ma'ayin into the parsha, and there's so many things there that should really make you turn around and say, Rebbeinu Shalom, please reveal your Torah to me. So many things when you're sitting there, when you're learning the parsha, when you're hearing it in shul, just say to Hashem, just quickly, Rebbeinu Shalom, please tell me what's going on here. I would love to know what that's about. Why do you use that word there? What's it to do with that? That's so interesting. Please tell me. Just do that. It's so special. I think the Rebbeinu Shalom gets a huge amount of nachas from that, a huge amount of hana from when a yid is like, Rebbeinu Shalom, please, just let me in, please. Like your kid knocking on the door, please let me in. B'ezrat Hashem. Okay, should be Zoicha. Have a good Shabbos, everyone.
Good Shabbos. Thank you. That was perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay, welcome back, Yitzi. It's good.
Yeah, good to be back. Great to be back. Okay.
I was wondering where your beard was going to be holding. You're in the middle. Not bad.
It's good. Thank God. You like it?
Chazak v'yamat.
Okay. Shkoyach. Good to see you.
You too, man.
Bye.
God bless.